family is going to be entering the chapel. When they do, we'll ask everyone to rise and stand in place. Please be sure that your phones have been turned off so they don't disturb the sacred memorial service. At this time, we know that the rabbi and cantor will be officiating. The rabbi will be up momentarily. Brother Rachel Weiss and Cantor Howard Friedland. We welcome those of you who are joining us online. And once again, before the family comes, please be sure your phones have been turned off. Okay, oh, good. Oh, yeah, perfect. Please be seated. We're going to start. Taking a deep breath. All right. We're going to start.
Blessed are you, our source, who is close to the brokenhearted. We are here as family, as friends, as JRC, as community, gathered here in this moment to acknowledge a great transition in the world. A moment that represents a shift like we have had so recently with so many others, of the passing of our elders and our leaders, and to mark today the death of Helen Gratch. We will remember him in many ways as we will share through this afternoon and continue to share always. The son of Helen and Edith Gratch, born in February on the 18th, 1935, the brother of Arleen of blessed memory, the father of Brian of blessed memory, Joel and Mikel, and the father-in-law of Michelle May, Reese, Gratch, and Dan Charlton, the grandfather of Stephanie and Henry, of Becca and Mikel, of Simon and Madison, of Helen, Anton, Sabine, Nick, Caleb, Braden, Sabrina, and the great-grandfather of Alice and Edith, and our friend. The Gratches are gatherers of people, friends of loves, places, and communities. And they have gathered us all here today to gather our memories and experiences with Alan and hold them close. Many, including myself, picture Alan and Sallie to just be here whenever JRC gathered, whether to sing in the choir or to sit in the front row at Kol Nidre, listening after everyone left with their arms around each other, to make calls in the office for phone-a-thon, to shape decisions of the board and the congregation over multiple generations, or simply being in the room at important gatherings. There are several generations of Gratch fingerprints all over JRC. Alan and Sallie gather family, not only here in Evanston, but traveling to Australia, bringing everyone to Montana, being with grandchildren and great-grandchildren at every moment, and also coming home for dinner. To exploring Ukraine and enabling new organizations to take shape and make change, to gather resources and finances and tools needed to mend, bringing together good people to do good work. And now it is our turn to gather around Sallie and your whole family, all that you built, all that you created together over your 68 years together, 53 of them at least here at JRC, and to be in this room, but now without him. So we gather to remember, we gather to grieve, we gather. We're going to welcome Joel to the Bima to sing with us the melody that so many of us recognize from Yom Kippur morning, of singing the 23rd Psalm. one of the lines Joel just sang, Kosi Revaya, my cup is overflowing. Alan's life and cup overflowed in so many ways. Did it? You got through that. Because we're all with you in this moment. Alan's life overflowed with so much goodness and so many connections. And as we start to tell this story in past tense, we start by hearing some of the pieces of Alan's life that were important in all different kinds of ways, and we're going to start with his beloved daughter-in-law, Michelle.
Hi. It is so sad to again be gathered here. We all know Brian will be sharing some funny yet poignant memories of being Alan's son and loving his dad so very much. I wasn't raised as a Gratch, but we did raise our Gratchlets near the Gratches. Yet this wasn't where I got to know Alan. That happened in Montana. Beginning in the early 90s, pre-kids, Brian and I made our annual summer vacation at the property. Missing only twice, a fire that closed the access road in, and a surgery that kept Brian in bed. I still visit, and now I am lucky enough to visit more than once this summer. The property was fertile ground for so many of Alan's best qualities: curiosity, work ethic, and optimism. Alan was curious. He regularly referenced scat and track books, annotated local topographical maps, and read nonfiction books about Montana. When he no longer accompanied us on our hikes, he loved hearing our full accounts of animal sightings, the weather, and trail conditions. For Alan, we could never give too much information or go into too much detail. Alan was super crazy busy. He worked. He was a lumberjack, identifying trees to be felled, revving up the chainsaw. I last saw him don his bright orange protective checks, summer of 2023, creating log piles according to readiness, dryness for burning, religiously rearranging said piles as the summer progressed, and finally chopping logs into useful sizes. Alan definitely made sure that we were all well schooled in the proper chopping stance, axe swinging form, and safety precautions. Alan was a landscaper on an epic scale, even as he gradually became more the supervisor. His first goal was safety, minimize fire fuel. That meant alongside and in the middle of the dirt road inn and around the big cabin. Those long grasses just had to go. So with a walking weed whacker thing, which was not the term Alan would have used, up and back that half-mile lane. And then focus on that little hill and clearing around the big cabin, mow, rake onto tarps, drag into the forest, dump, repeat, and repeat. Alan's second focus was a personal battle, eradicating invasive species. His number one nemesis, the low-growing juniper bush. His attack strategy involved both a chainsaw and tarps. This time, branches were dragged to the parking lot for a colossal burn pile, awaiting the go-ahead delight from the Forest Service. Over the years, Alan had to work further and further from the big cabin, and those increased distances made dragging those heavily laden tarps pretty challenging, even for the younger generations. So Alan, being the problem solver, devised a motorized drag system that involved tying together two 300 feet lengths of rope. It could have been 500 feet. He would have hung on to that detail. Several large carabiners, about 4 feet of chain, two sturdy trees used to turn the rope around, and my forerunner. It worked. Over and over, until that rope snapped. Enthusiasm for such a truly endless task relied on Alan's optimism. Alan was a true hardcore optimist. He believed he could eradicate this invasive species, at least from within view of the big cat. He also believed he could get ice cream home before it melted, over an hour drive from town. He could stop the pack rats from chewing on the cabins. He could hear NPR through the static. They didn't get internet until 2022. And most importantly, Alan believed that a summer in Montana with Sally was the perfect place to be as a couple, with family, with friends, and just to be. I will miss having Alan in Montana.
Being a Zadie, being a grandfather was so important to Alan, and I'm going to invite now Simon and Anton to share some of your memories and stories.
Hello everyone. I am Anton Gratch. Zadie was my grandfather. And I'd like to thank friends and family and everyone just for being here to celebrate his life with us. There are a lot of stories I could tell about Zadie. And that in itself to me is a blessing. To have a childhood full of memories of Grandma and Zadie around all the time. But there's one particular lesson that Zadie taught me, and he really made a point to drive it home. And it worked, because to this day, I still hear those words ringing in the back of my head. But I must have been 10, 11 years old, in the car with Grandma and Zadie. And if you knew Zadie, you knew he was a fountain of knowledge. There were so many random things he just seemed to completely understand. So I would ask him questions just about anything. How does a wind turbine work? How does an airplane stay in the sky? And he always had an answer. And I asked him one time in the car, I said, how do you know all this stuff? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, because I am a skeptic. And he spent probably the next 5 to 10 minutes explaining to me why it was important to be a skeptic. At the time, it didn't mean much to me. But as I've grown older and navigated my own life and my own struggles in life, I've always heard those words in the back of my head, always be a skeptic. And it's helped me through my struggles to think, wow, should I be doing this? What are the benefits to this? How's this gonna work? I should be a little more skeptical about this decision I'm making. But it worked. And here I am 10, 12 years later, still hearing those words in the back of my head. So thank you, Zadie, for the love and wisdom you provided to me and so many others. I love you, miss you, say hi to Dad.
My grandfather was a thorough and thoughtful and very detailed man. Everyone knew that if you asked Zadie a question, you were in for the most elaborate and complete response. Concise? Absolutely not. That's who he was. A lawyer who examined every issue with meticulous, multi-dimensional insight. The last time I saw Zadie, he requested a cup of coffee, not only for the taste, but also for the aroma that he loved. He said to me, go to the cabinet to the right of the fridge. In the bottom shelf, there is a mason jar of coffee beans and a coffee grinder. For every cup you intend to make, you need to measure 2 teaspoons of coffee beans. Take the coffee pot, and you'll notice on the side, there are white etched marks in increments of 2. Those correspond with the number of cups you intend to make. On the top of the coffee maker, there is a lid. Lift it up and pour the water in the river. Take a coffee filter, lightly dampen it, pull on the front of the coffee maker, and it will open. Put the filter in, and the ground beans on top. The button on the bottom starts to pop. He then looked at me and said, "Do you make coffee at home?" I replied, "Yes." Every morning, I have the exact same coffee pot. And he did the famous Zadie gesture. But that's who he was. Thorough, nothing left to question. Zadie was an amazing grandfather. The memories I have with him, my dad, and our entire family will forever be cherished. Time is money, and it's the only thing that you cannot buy more of. Those memories are what remain when you have no time left. I have so many great memories with Zadie, and even in the last few months, when you wouldn't expect to have good memories, I have coffee.
Alan had such deep relationships, not only with his children, but also with his children-in-law. And I want to invite Dan Charlton, his son-in-law, to come and share some of your thoughts and memories.
Thank you all for coming today. All of you. Today we come together to celebrate the remarkable life of Alan Gratch, a life marked by unwavering dedication, fierce passion, and an unrelenting commitment to everything he held dear. Alan poured his heart into everything he did, whether as a law professor, tirelessly uplifting his students and making them think, or at home where he nurtured family and friends with the same vigor. When you think of Alan, words like dedicated and committed undoubtedly come to mind. He wasn't just dedicated in a general sense. He immersed himself in every project, every relationship, and every cup of tea, adding his own unique flair to each moment. A perfect example of Alan's theatrical flair paired with his dedication and passion was during a family game of Scrabble. Whether it was dominoes or rummy cube, you knew to be prepared for family game night. And with Scrabble, if you faced a wordsmith like Alan, you better bring your A game. During one memorable game, Alan took his turn, placing his letters on the board and declaring his word with a triumphant flair that seemed to challenge anyone present to question his intelligence. He was confident. The word, Gurko Polo. So committed he was to this creation that he went so far as to define it. Gurko Polo, a sport played in India atop elephants. When questioned, Alan defended his word with such passion that he nearly won everyone over. Almost. In the end, Webster's dictionary may have won, but that did not deter him. He continued to advocate for its legitimacy throughout the game. Chutzpah, indeed. As a cherished Zadie, his love and adoration for each one of you knew no bounds. He was the most loving and enthusiastic Zadie you could have ever asked for, showering each of you with the warmth of his affection. As a father to the three of you, and a father-in-law to the three of us, he embodied curiosity and care. He took an active interest in our passions, understanding and nurturing each of our unique journeys. His commitment to being physically present in our lives was unwavering, as he dedicated his time and energy to help us strive towards and achieve our dreams. His belief in us inspired confidence and joy, leaving a profound impact on all of our lives. And then, as a husband, his devotion was beyond what words can capture. The depth of his commitment and the sheer, undeniable love he had for you is something that transcends any story ever told. A partner who exemplified chesed, loyalty, and steadfast support, a true testament to what it means to love unconditionally. Today, as we remember Alan, let us hold on to the memories we shared, the lessons he imparted, and the love that he spread so generously. In his own unique way, he taught us that life is richer when lived with a heart full of passion and a commitment to our dreams. And of course, with the unwavering love of family. Rest in peace, Becca.
The closing paragraph of the Amidah that we sing aloud together before we have moments of quiet says, "From generation to generation, we will bless and praise your name." Joel and Stephanie will sing for us one of the renditions, the Dor Vador, that Alan loved and that we hold these generations. And in this montage created by Alan's daughter, Mikel, we see years and generations of memories. Slideshow seems to be buffering, probably because there are many people in this room who are here enough to all be logged onto the Wi-Fi, even though you don't even know it. So these slides, we will make sure we have as we end, and we'll play throughout the Shiva and throughout the afternoon, in addition to others in ways, and you can see and experience the whole piece, the whole ways of these beautiful pictures of Alan's life that Mikel created. Sallie, will you join me here?
Hi, everyone. I had originally thought of asking all my grandchildren to come up here with me because I'm looking at all of you and people feeling you. But I thought I might hear and feel my grandchildren better if you would all come up and stand behind me. And I could also take my children, which includes my daughter. These are my words for my Alan. We met on a blind date in 1952, a high school graduation party for Alan. We were 17. I remember the expression on his face as he stepped out of the elevator into my parents' apartment. He flashed this wonderful smile of surprise and approval, all wrapped into one. And he always remembered what I was wearing, sort of. I clearly remembered. What else I remember? He held my hand. And upon returning home, I remember waking up my mom to tell her about this wonderful date I just had with Alan. And I remember her smiling back with delight for me. We married 5 years later in 1957, as Alan completed his first year of law school and I graduated from college. We were about to start our long life together. Actually, we were about to begin growing up together. The day after our wedding, I remember driving in a taxi cab to the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach and blurting out with joy to the cab driver, "We just got married yesterday." I simply had to tell him. And so began our marriage of 68 years. Of adventure, of discovery, of growth and change as we experienced the world around us together. Beginning in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where we both completed our education, Alan in law and I in social work, then excitedly began our life adventure together in London, where Alan, with a Knox Fellowship in hand, studied at the London School of Economics. I worked as a lady almoner at St. Thomas's and Westminster Hospital. The perfect first inning of a life together. Then came real life, creating a family, beginning to define ourselves both as individuals and as a couple, discovering how to discover what mattered in life to each of us, both of us, identifying our values, our passions, supporting each other's desires, and most of all, how to act and identify our values in hopes of imprinting them somehow on each of our 3 children. And so here we are today, minus 2 of us, Alan and Brian. Our children created lives of their own with caring partners as we watched. And Alan and I kept growing up together, caring equally about the condition of the world, of its inhabitants, and always trying to be part of the winds of change. Alan left this world ever so silently, like a flower petal blowing across a field in the wind. He wanted to die, to escape the body that quite suddenly turned against him. But his choice to die was shackled by the absence of choice in dying in this state of Illinois that still does not recognize the right of choice to medical assistance in death. While lovingly cared for by hospice in his final weeks, Morphine was what they could provide. And Alan hung on, way past no food or water. And for his family, who surrounded his hospital bed every day, every night, we recognized we had to encourage Alan to let go. For me, hon, I'll be all right. I'll be taken care of. You can leave. We each searched our hearts, realizing the enormity of our task. And in the early hours, this past Monday, Alan took his last gentle breath. My thanks go out to all the wonderful staff of hospice who visited us, called us, counseled us. We all need the right to choose the death of our choice, for our loved ones, for ourselves. Consider that, and hopefully some of you will act on it in some way. I also want to thank our gentle, caring caregivers, Janet, Arleana, and Elvira, who have carried all of us, especially Alan, through this difficult time. And my thanks to all our family and friends who have supported us through this entire experience. For sure, my JRC community, the clergy, Rabbi Rachel and Cantor Howard, all of you here today and beyond. And my thanks to Davy Jacobson from Chicago Jewish Funerals, who has guided my family now twice through this final process, ever so gently. Thank you, David. Also a special thanks to the many friends in communities Alan and I call home, from so many women now scattered around the world I know and love through Project Kesher, to the folks in Montana who have surely become central to our lives, and to my family far and wide who are in my heart right now as I speak. 7 years ago, I spoke to many of you here at JRC, at Brian's funeral. I said then, do not let sadness stay long, but remember Brian, who brought so much love to so many lives. Today, I say, to all of you with a soulmate, love them with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Thank you, grandchildren.
For those of you that don't know, Alan was almost 90 and a half. His half birthday would be this upcoming Monday. And Sallie will be 90 and a half on Sunday. because she's one day older. It is simply not possible to tell 90 years of a story. And part of what we do is we feel all of the feelings that are here in this room right now. But a few of the stories and a few pieces of Alan's life to frame it from its beginning until its end. Alan was born on the south side of Chicago, a Hyde Park native who grew up intertwined with his extended family in a building together, cousins and aunts and uncles, and he was, of course, the favorite cousin and nephew. He had a very close relationship with his father, Hy. His admiration and adoration led him perhaps to his law career, but also spent summers in Union Pier, Michigan, like many Jewish families of that time, like many of you. After meeting Sallie on a blind date in high school, who fell in love, Sallie, as you said, with the casual, loving, kind way of his family who always enveloped her. While he practiced law, he didn't allow his career as a lawyer to come first. He was, as you've shared, a lawyer's lawyer. People and family in his life came first, meaning he consciously chose not to participate in the cutthroat race to become partner or have his name on the firm like his colleagues. He wanted to be home with all of you. He made these conscious choices inspired by watching his children make decisions of their own, which led him to make new choices. At home, like his many, many homesteading hobbies, he baked bread. And Sallie wondered that perhaps while he was kneading and kneading, he was kneading over the decisions of what to do next, which led him, after 20 years of practicing law in the business world, to shift in teaching to teaching at the Loyola University School of Law. Former students still hear the name Gratch and ask about Alan, remembering him as their favorite. He was dedicated to getting people to think, not to lecture to them. Unorthodox methods, like as Joel shared, having them read The Merchant of Venice in a business contracts class, valuing the experiential exploration of the concept, getting generations he taught to think on their own and not simply be fed. And this continued with his colleagues who went to him with the most complicated of problems they struggled with for advice. His Fulbright scholarship to teach abroad led him to the University of Kiev, Ukraine, because that was where Sallie wanted to go, again, centering his family. Alan was not only a teacher and professor, he was an avid learner, always up for something new, and took pleasure in finding a new hobby, a new skill, for the fun for Alan was in the discovery part. He took you skiing, scuba diving, all of you scuba diving, camping and hiking and tennis. His age didn't stop him, continuing to try new things, especially if they were important to someone he cared about. Alan never threw anything away. Mostly there were broken things and tools, but also people in his life. He liked to make and fix things, not just bread, pancakes and sourdough and hot fudge and yogurt and chocolate chip cookies too. And he did this discovery, these hobbies with his whole heart and soul, to discover and love something, but more importantly, to bring everyone along with him. Traveling was essential, to take you to places. It was creative, it was exhaustive, down to the details, I imagine, like the coffee making. And along with Sallie, bringing Brian, Joel, and Mikel to Sweden and Norway and Amsterdam and London and camping in places so remote there simply wasn't anything else there. And the traveling in business law led him to find Montana, where a whitefish colleague sold him land and bare bones cabin so Alan could also help him out financially. And that would become his favorite place in the world. Built and rebuilt, improvised not only for safety and warmth and indoor plumbing. Alan and Sallie anchored their family there in summers for adventures, but also quiet in these sacred woods. Many of us have heard open mic at Yom Kippur, where Sallie has recounted the beauty of a quiet morning there together. And that is where Alan's ashes will be scattered, so he is always part of them. and now he will be there to stay. It is also where Brian's ashes are scattered. And we gathered in this room to remember, to mourn in this shock and unexpected loss. And everyone stood around you, Michelle, and Sallie and Alan, just as we did, and you brought everybody together today. Alan wasn't quite the same after Brian died. That loss took some of the spark and adventure from him, because he loved Brian. We also know that peace and justice anchor the heart of the Gratch family. In 1986, the Great Peace March went from LA to Washington, D.C. to protest nuclear arms. Alan started in LA and Sallie joined in Cleveland, and we all know that that bright orange wage peace sign was a permanent installation in 1134 Judson Avenue, and I believe is still there. That home, the home you built, and the home that was also the genesis, the place of Project Kesher, which Sallie co-founded in 1989, in post-communist Russia and Ukraine to empower what is now a generation of women into connections, a reemergence with Judaism and their own civic engagement. And Alan was also the behind-the-scenes worker, from wrangling furniture to drawing up business plans and legal paperwork to even doing the mailings. He was as instrumental in its founding as Sallie tells, but perhaps a little bit quieter. And his generosity of spirit, of money, of time, of support, he may never have thrown away anything that one day could be useful, but he never hoarded either that which could be useful to somebody else. He spent that over and over and over on his children, on communities, and on JRC. We don't exactly have membership records here that go before 1970, which is why Alan and Sallie's membership record says that on January 1st, 1970, they became members of JRC. When Alan learned that there was a group gathering and said, I think we have to be part of this, and brought their children along. He would grow to, as we said, put his fingers all over everything here, and as president, led the congregation. Every year on Kol Nidre, we bring the Torahs in to witness as we stand around, and all the past presidents escort the Torahs, but escort each other. If you're a past president in this room right now of JRC, would you stand for a moment? All of you, these remarkable leaders that Alan inspired, continuing to lead us, and will walk that Kol Nidre Torah processional in his memory. Sallie, you described life with Alan as a better ride than you could ever have imagined. You are halves of one who had, as you described, lived a marriage through its changes, pulling each other along so that your love could come through, and you could hold each other and pick each other up as everything in the world continued to change so you could navigate and be together. And the love will come through, and it has come through, and it will still continue, but not in the same form. And as you float from your deep-hearted loss and grief to the tender care that you hold everyone with, just as you did with Alan in the hospice bed these last week of his life. And in the same way that you also turn around and marvel at how incredible it is to be alive. We are weaving this way along with you. We are always following your grace and your lead, taking Alan along and carrying him with us too. Alan would probably not have enjoyed being present for a service of accolades and attention surrounding him and his story. For he deflected, he was unassuming and humble. This would not perhaps been something he would have been so comfortable to sit through, all of us talking about him. But here we are, and we are reminded that we have to tell the details of his legacy so it can move us to make change, to live a life of generosity, center our family and those who we love. We need these details that maybe we didn't know, or to illuminate what we did, so we too know how to carry and replicate, so that his memory and our memories with him can live on. The body that Alan lived in began to turn against him this spring and into the summer in a way that he did not want to continue living. And at last, in that very quiet way, that Alan took his last breath, with that last exit, his neshama, his soul, the essence of him, exited with him. And as we sing El Malay Rachamim, the prayer that reminds us that we are not simply our bodies, but we are so much more, we pray that it ascend and rise and come to live inside our very broken hearts. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. God, dwelling with compassion, filled with mercy, dwelling in the heavens heights, bring proper rest beneath the wings of your presence, amid the ranks of the holy and pure, illuminating like the brilliance of the skies, the soul of Alan Gratch, who has gone to his eternal place of rest. May you, who are the source of compassion, shelter him beneath your wings eternally and bind his soul among the living, that he may rest in peace. And we say together, Amen. Please remain standing as you are able as we welcome the JRC choir to join us here on the steps of the Bima. Alan loved to sing in the choir, even though he did not always know what page they were on. He loved being there. He loved standing next to Joel. He loved singing together. Loved it when the three of you would come and lead us. We recite Mourner's Kaddish together, and the choir will share this rendition that Alan loved of Oseh Shalom, a prayer for peace. Kaddish as a prayer does not talk about death. It talks about the beauty of life, the glory that is in the world, in the time that we are alive and it is living. And so we say Mourner's Kaddish, the words of which are in your service folder, in memory of Alan, who is no longer alive to bless the glory and beauty of life. So we remember the goodness of the life that lived in him. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad yivrach v'rutei ve'alid malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'gala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam l'alnei almayo, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu, La'elah Mikol Berkata V'Shirata, Tush B'Rata V'Nechamata, Damiran Be'alma V'Imru Amen. Yehesh Lama Rabba Min Shmaya, V'Chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'Imru Amen. Osei Shalom Mimromav, Hu Ya'asei Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'Imru Amen. Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Shiva will continue here at JRC until 5 p.m. Then at the residence of Reese and Joel Gratch at 6825 Lowell Avenue in Lincolnwood, tomorrow from 5 to 8 p.m., then Sunday from 1:30 to 5 p.m. Memorial contributions in his memory to the JRC, Project Kesher, for Compassion and Choices. That information is on the service folder that you received upon entering the sanctuary. Also, for those of you who are joining us online, that information can be found on the funeral home's website. At this time, I invite everybody to please rise as we escort the family to the social hall for the Shiva. And for those of you who are online, this concludes the online portion.
As we stand together, we transform the ancient custom when one leaves a cemetery. We form two lines so that the family can go from this most intimate space of remembrance and start to move out into the world of community. And we escort, surround the family with love so that we form a corridor so that as they move from this space, so filled with grief but also so filled with love, they see exactly who is here surrounding.